Alright guys, so we're going to move on now to part 2 for your assignment 1. So what we want to do today is go over drawing a couple of lines and modifying them. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start drawing some lines. So we're going to go up to draw here and select line and create line. So what we can do now is we could specify a point, just click anywhere, and then you can just start drawing a line by dragging your mouse to a different location. And you can keep on doing this and draw a few lines in a row that all connect to each other from certain points. When you're done, you can just hit enter and there is your line. What we can do now, kind of similar, is draw a polyline. So here is polyline option up here, so you can select this and let's draw something that looks relatively similar. Alright, so note that this line now is actually one line. It's one whole line, where this object up here, you could see I am selecting different lines. You can hit escape to unselect. So if you wanted to delete just a portion of it, this one is the whole line, whereas over here you could delete just a part of it. Alright, so another thing that we can do is we can draw orthogonal lines pretty easily. So what you want to do is go down to the bottom right of your screen and look for this ortho mode. I already have ortho mode selected because it's in blue, you can see there. So what you can do is you can go up to draw a polyline, and you can basically start going about drawing a shape with perfect 90-degree angles, just like I'm doing so here. So this allows us to draw squares and stuff pretty easily with perfect 90-degree angles. It lets us get through that kind of work pretty quick. Next, what I want to show you is drawing a circle. So there are different types of ways that you can actually draw circles in Civil 3D. So the first way I'm going to show you guys is with a radius. So if you know the circle's radius, you can just define that. Let's just say 25, and we can do that again, 25 over here. So now we have a perfect circle. There are many different ways to do it. This was drawing a circle from the center. This is drawing a circle if you just know the radius, so you can just do it in one shot like that. That's helpful if you just want to do a normal circle, whereas the other way is helpful if you want to draw like an ellipsis or something like that. There are also multiple ways that you can draw a circle, so you can do the center radius or the center diameter, or you can do 2 or 3 point circle drawing, so that's helpful if you want to do something that's in between a couple of locations. So let's say I want to draw it from that point to that point over here. That lets me draw that circle automatically if I don't know exactly what that distance is between those two sections. Another thing we can do in Civil 3D is draw an arc. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our draw toolbox up here, and I'm going to do the start, center, and end arc. So we'll go back to this box over here and use it for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to select an endpoint, and then I'm going to kind of select where my middle is and select another endpoint. What I can also do in this instance, and I'm going to delete this here, is I can draw an arc, start, center, and end. And before I finish it, what I can do is I can hold control. If you look down at the command bar on the bottom, I can hold control and change what direction that arc actually goes down. So I'm going to end it over here, and now my arc is complete. What I can do also after that is select the arc, and I can basically use these endpoints essentially and change the shape of that arc. So you can see I can pretty much make a full circle if I want. It's not going to be a complete full circle, but it's going to be close. But I can also take it and I can drag it down to the very end of that piece that you saw before and fix that so now it matches up perfectly with the end of it, as you can see. Alright, so now we're going to move on to a couple of the modifying commands that you see up here on top. So what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a quick object. Alright, So now we have a shape. And the first command that we want to do is move. So we can go up top here to move and select that, and it's going to ask us to select an object. So we do. And then we hit enter. And then what we have to do after that is select a base point. So this is the point of which you're going to be moving the object around. So now that I've selected it, you can see I can move the object around wherever I want. I could specify certain degrees of change, a certain distance away from the object, but let's just say I'm going to throw it right over here. Another modify tool that we can use is rotate. So we can rotate the object around a base point. So we select the object, and let's make this our base point. So now we can rotate the object around, and we can specify what angle we want. As you can see, we have the option of choosing like 90 degrees. So you see how I rotated it there. I can undo that. But that is essentially how we can kind of rotate the object around. Another command that we can use is copy up here. So we could duplicate the object. So we want to select the object and hit enter. Specify the base point, which I did, and now I can move this object, and I can snap it to be the same exact height or distance, like left and right from where this other object is placed. So you see I can snap it to that. I can specify an angle and a distance away that I want this other copy to be. And you see I can continue doing this too. It's not just once, you can keep on going. But I'm going to hit enter to finish it. So now I have all these different objects. I'm going to select a few of them and get rid of them. So the next command I want to teach you is the mirror command. So I'm going to select mirror, and I'm going to select my object yet again and hit enter. And I'm going to select the first point of mirror line. So let's just select that right there. That way I can show you guys how you can mirror the object around a point. So you see I'm gonna mirror it across that one base point directly above it. I'm drawing a mirror line directly down, so you see how I can have it reflecting across that kind of axis. And you can also have it reflect internally like I have it right now, just like that. You can also instead mirror farther away from the object. So let's say I want the point of the mirror line to be over there. See how far away I can have it? I can select the distance away the mirror line is, and I can also choose the angle at which I want the mirror line to actually be. So let's just say I hit enter over there, and I'm going to have my next object over here. So the next one I want to kind of show you guys is scale. So I'm going to select scale over here, and I'm going to select this object, hit enter again, and you have to choose a base point again. And we kind of went over this before, but this is me scaling the object to a much larger size. I apologize. You see I can have it as big as I want. Let's just go with 2. So now it is twice as big dimension-wise across all lines in this object. So it's the same shape, it's just twice as big in every dimension. Okay, so I've drawn a couple of objects here for a few demonstrations of a couple more modifying commands. So for our first one over here, what I want to do is show you guys the trim command. So we're going to go up here to our modify toolbox again and select trim. And we're going to select the object that we want to trim around. So we can select one line, or we can also select 2. And we're going to hit enter. So we're going to trim around this object. So now we're choosing either side of this line. So this is actually one line. It's not 2 lines that connect here, but one line that intersects this object. So I'm going to trim one of these sides off. And now my line is a lot shorter. Yeah, so same kind of deal over here. You see that's one line as well. And what we want to do is extend that line to intersect over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the extend command, and I'm going to select the object I want to extend around. And now I can choose the object that I want to actually extend. So you see automatically it knows, okay, I want to extend that line to that object. So now we're making something kind of similar. The next command that I want to teach you guys is the fillet command. So this allows you to do right angles or edges with a radius. So I'm going to show you both of those in succession. So I'm going to select my first object, and if I want a right angle, I can just select my second object. And you see right here, the second I even hover over it and highlight, it automatically goes to a corner. What I can do instead, and if you look down here in the command box, I can also choose a radius. So I'm going to select R and hit enter, and it wants me to enter in the radius that I want. So let's say I want a radius of 5. So I'm going to hit 5 units and enter, and I'm going to select the second object over here, and now you see that it puts a nice curve in for us. What's really nice about this is that you don't have to go around trying to fit a circle into the space over here and then having to erase the circle after drawing over it or tracing it. You don't need to do that, so you can just fillet in between those two lines and create a nice curve. So maybe what you want to do is have a corner and you want to cut off part of it. So what you can also do is select the chamfer option. So we're basically beveling an edge. So we're going to select our first line here, and we can select our second line. Right now, nothing happened, and that's because when we do this, we have to basically decide how we want to go about chamfering this edge. So we're going to go with distance first, so I'm going to select D, and I'm going to specify the first chamfer distance. So here is my endpoint, and I want this to be about 5 units away. And then I'm going to select the endpoint again, and select my second distance, which is going to be 5 again. And I'm going to select my first line, and then I'm going to select my second line, and you see it just cuts that corner directly off. So now we have a nice edge, and from the point that was over here, it's 5 units away on either side. So you see now we have that beveled edge compared to the filleted edge over here. Alright, so there are a couple more tools I want to show you guys in Civil 3D. So I'm just going to throw in a rectangle over here. So I want to show you guys the offset modify tool. So I can select offset, and now I can select how many units I want this to be offset from the object. So I'm going to select 2 units and hit enter, and I'm going to select the object that I want to offset from. So I can select around the object on the outside, or I could do it on the inside. Let's do a little bit more than 2. Let's just do 5. Alright, so I did it on the inside, and I can also do it on the outside again. We'll go to 5 and hit enter. So now I have something that's kind of looking like a window. So you have to hit enter to finish your whole command. So what I want to show you guys next is how to build an array. So I'm going to select the array function up here. It's a rectangular array, and I have to select all the objects that I want to build my array from. So I have those 3 objects selected, and I hit enter, and by default it gives me a 4x3 array. So I can change how many columns I have by selecting this end, and I can grip it and drag it across and select however many I want, or I can just type in after doing that. Let's just say 5. So let's do 5 columns. And I can also adjust the distance in between all of these spacings as well as for the columns. Let's say I just want 2 over here. So let's do that. I have a nice little 5x2, and I hit enter. So what I want to do next is show you guys hatching. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to draw a rectangle around this, and now we got something that's kind of looking like the face of a building. So what I want to do is I want to hatch on the inside to show that there's a certain kind of material inside of here. So where I can go is to draw and hatch, and it allows me to select a couple of different options of hatching styles. Let's go with a brick. And all you have to do is just move over and select the inside of the object that you want to put the hatching in. So I could select inside just one window, I could select inside all of these different little squares, but I want the whole building to look that way, so I'm going to select the whole building in there. It allows me to scale how big the hatching is too, so I can make it a lot smaller so it looks a little bit more detailed. I can make it a lot bigger than its original, so I can essentially just mess with that a little bit. And then I hit enter, and I hit enter again, and that is it. So now we have a nice little hatched area inside the face of this building, and it's looking like a drawing now. So that actually concludes what we're going to go over for assignment 1 in module 1 for this week. And we will continue with a couple more examples in class as well, and your assignments will be based off of some of the skills that you've learned in this material.